April is Autism Awareness Month, and we here at the GIS encourage you to shine a light on the developmental disability by supporting education efforts. So if you or someone you know has a child who has difficulties with social relationships, verbal and nonverbal communication and play, or shows resistance to a change in routine, we urge you to speak with a pediatrician and have the child screened for autism. Early diagnosis means early intervention that can allow autistic children to achieve their full potential. For more information, visit jamaicaautism.org. It's Jamaica Magazine on your favorite station with me, Adrian Atkinson, as your host. We have a lot packed for you in this half hour, so please stay with us as we inform, educate, and entertain.
When the children cry, let 'em know we tried.
Be an active participant in your child's life. Spend time with your child. No phones, no television, no distractions. Just the two of you. Get to know your child through play. Why not go to the park and get on the monkey bars? Sharing a meal can also be a time of bonding. If your child's in school, be involved in school activities. Speak with your child's teacher. Follow up on their progress in school and see how you can help. Assist them with homework. Attend parent-teacher meetings and support school fundraising events. Remember, your child's future is in your hands. Safeguard it.
So glad you are a child of mine.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for Monday, April 20. Government is to receive over $2.5 billion in revenue from the sale of additional spectrum to telecoms company Lime. Minister of Science, Technology, Energy and Mining Philip Paulwell made the announcement during his sectoral presentation last week. He said the allocation of spectrum was to facilitate the expansion of high-speed broadband network on the island. The agreement was signed in March between the Ministry and Lime, and the first payment of $1.3 billion was received on March 31. 15,000 unattached youth are to be trained annually under a new Heart Trust NTA initiative. Education Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites announced the program during his sectoral presentation last week.
The program consists of three components: apprenticeship for participants with CSEC qualifications, full skill training for participants without CSEC but who have passed the Heart Train entrance test, and the third component is literacy, attitudinal and skill upgrading for participants who have no qualifications.
The Training and Employment Initiative recently started with youth from Northeast Manchester and Western St. Andrew communities and is to reach every constituency. HEART has also begun the training of 816 people in call contact operations to fill jobs at Sutherland Global Services. An additional 1,388 persons should get training in 2015-2016. Government is providing support to the families of the 4 persons, including 3 students, who were murdered in Moneymusk, Clarendon last week.
The CDA is back because we will be providing counseling support, other kinds of support to the community and the family, especially the children.
On Saturday, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller, along with the Youth Minister and other government representatives, met with the victims' families. While extending condolences to the families and wider community, Mrs. Simpson-Miller had a message for the nation.
Don't kill. Don't fight. Don't kill. Life is important. God gave us life. It is for us to preserve, not to destroy. So I call on the nation as we pray for those who are now in mourning here, that communities unite. Let us give true meaning to the African proverb, takes a village to raise a child.
We're seeing it in too many communities now, and I'm just saying enough is enough. Enough is enough, really.
At another function on Saturday, the Prime Minister called on the nation's women of faith to be the voice of change and to speak out against the societal ills plaguing our nation. She made the call while speaking at the Jamaica Baptist Women's Federation's second prayer breakfast held at the Caymanas Golf Club.
More of us as leaders, as women, we need to raise our voices and speak out against the evil taking place in our country at this time. What have we become? When as a society we prey on our children, who are the future of our nation, I call on the women and the men of Jamaica to stand up to protect our children and allow them to live their childhood years.
She also used the occasion to give a personal donation of $300,000 towards the Women's Federation project, which is constructing the Garland Hall Flatlets home for children in Anchovy, St. James. The Kingston to Maypen leg of Highway 2000 is now the P.J. Patterson Highway. The 44-kilometer toll road was renamed in honor of the island's 6th Prime Minister at a ceremony on Friday. Prime Minister Simpson Miller said Mr. Patterson was most deserving of the honor as he was the visionary behind its development.
Highway 2000 and the North Coast Highway have helped to open up Jamaica to new levels of tourism and housing development. Businesses have been able to expand and cut costs, whether through less wear and tear on their fleet or quicker turnaround in delivery times. Jamaicans now have more options in determining where to live because the highways have cut travel time and reduced the hassle to commute on a daily basis.
As he expressed thanks for the honor, the former Prime Minister urged Jamaicans to protect multi-million-dollar investments such as the highway. He also appealed to motorists to cut their speed on the highway and other roads.
I really would urge that we don't make the sight of a smooth road the reason to floor the accelerator, or as we say, to mash flat. That only endangers the lives of the drivers and the passengers, but other innocent lives as well are at risk. Let us exercise good sense and enjoy the highway in safety and not turn it into a death trap.
And finally, Minister with responsibility for sport Natalie Nita Headley has intervened in the impasse between two Jamaican schoolboy athletes and the organizers of the Penn Relays. News broke recently that student athletes Michael O'Hara and Jaheel Hyde were barred from the Penn Relays as organizers say they have received sponsorship from companies which was not available to all student athletes.
I don't often get involved in the everyday workings and operations of our sporting federations and organizations. I tend to be more engaged in the policy, the framework that guides sport development. But I feel it is necessary at this time to intervene in the recent impasse that has occurred with our two high school students.
Going forward, Mrs. Nita Headley says she will be working with ISA, the J3As and other governing bodies to develop policies which will protect student athletes.
I want to continue to encourage our sponsors to support our student athletes, but how we support, where we support, who we support is going to be critical as we go forward. It cannot be at any point at the expense of the career development of any single student athlete.
Minister Nita Headley was speaking last week at the launch of the 12th staging of the annual Jamaica International Invitational Track Meet slated for May 9. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
I say be careful what you teach your little children. Make sure I know something to hurt them.
Parents, keep your children safe and protected. Stay alert and be aware of where your children are at all times. Submit the latest photo of your child to his or her school. Know what's happening with your child. Listen to them when they say they don't feel comfortable going to a certain place or being around certain persons. Act quickly when your child tells you he or she has been touched inappropriately or approached with unwanted requests. Be the change. Help us protect our children. For more information, call 1-888-776-8328 or 1-876-878-2882. From the CARIFORUM EU Business Forum to continued work on the sexual abuse and disability policies, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller and her team at Jamaica House were fully engaged in carrying out the people's business this past week. A wrap-up of those and other stories are next.
This week on Jamaica House Weekly, Prime Minister visits families of 4 killed in Clarendon, a pledge to add to the Patterson legacy.
It gives me great pleasure to declare Highway 2000 East-West as a PJ Patterson Highway.
And more state entities urged to implement sexual harassment and disability policies.
We need to do better in Jamaica. And not for everything we fight, we quarrel, and we murder.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller's plea for peace as she condemned last Wednesday's quadruple killing at the Money Mosque housing scheme in Hayes, Clarendon. As she visited the families of those killed on Saturday, Mrs. Simpson-Miller called on Jamaicans to unite in keeping with the nation's motto.
Well, if we're one people, we shouldn't be killing each other. We shouldn't be fighting and quarreling. We should be trying to lift each other. We should be trying to help each other, not to murder each other.
The Prime Minister was accompanied by government ministers and representatives of the Child Development Agency. 3 teenage boys and a man were shot and killed by 2 men during an alleged robbery on April 15. In an earlier release, Mrs. Simpson-Miller called on the residents of Hayes and its environs to work with the police in bringing the perpetrators of the gruesome killings to justice. She also expressed confidence in the ability of the police to investigate and apprehend those responsible. And right before the trip to Clarendon on Saturday, the Prime Minister called for a united front in the fight against social degradation.
We have to go back to that kinder, gentler Jamaica and a gentler society. We have to go back to being a people of strong values, of service. And we'll pay attention and unite in our communities, and we will bring about peace.
Mrs. Simpson-Miller was speaking at the Jamaica Baptist Women's Federation prayer breakfast on Saturday. The Prime Minister also gave a personal donation in aid of the construction of the Garland Hall flatlets for children. Earlier in the week, Prime Minister Simpson-Miller promised to add to the legacy left by Jamaica's 6th Prime Minister P.J. Patterson.
The present administration that I have the honor to lead intends to build on PJ's legacy. This is evident in the steps we have already taken and plan to take, including work done and ongoing on the North-South Highway, privatization and expansion of the airports, privatization and expansion of the Kingston Container Terminal. All of these are laying the foundation for greater levels of economic growth.
The Prime Minister was speaking as she officially renamed the Kingston to Maypen leg of Highway 2000 the P.J. Patterson Highway. Mrs. Simpson-Miller said the renaming, which coincided with former Prime Minister Patterson's 80th birthday on April 10, was a fitting tribute to the man who spearheaded the highway's development. Mrs. Simpson-Miller added that the former Prime Minister's visionary leadership would take pride of place in Jamaica's history books. Following the renaming ceremony, Mrs. Simpson-Miller joined opposition members, members of Parliament past and present, as well as current and former ministers at an 80th birthday reception for the former Prime Minister.
We're here to celebrate P.J. Patterson, an outstanding leader, and one at whose feet I sat and I learned.
And the Prime Minister met with members of the Partnership for Transformation this past week. The grouping was joined by Noel Arscott, Minister of Local Government and Community Development. In the meantime, the Prime Minister assigned the State Minister in the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce to represent her at the opening of the 3rd CARIFORUM EU Business Conference. It was held in St. James on April 15. Through Sharon Folks Abrams, Mrs. Simsimila urged countries within the region to make greater use of the opportunities for export to the European Union.
It is my hope that this business forum will be a positive turning point for Jamaican and regional trade with the European Union. We must seek to fulfill the productive promise of EPA, thereby resulting in profitable win-win business outcomes at the firm level that will redound to the benefit of the peoples of the Caribbean and EU member states.
The 2-day conference was held under the theme, Making Connections, Building Business, Increasing Trade and Investment. And the minister responsible for Information and Women's Affairs, Senator Sandra Faulkner, was also in the second city this past week. On Monday, Senator Faulkner attended day 1 of the 5-day Women in Maritime Association conference, where she called on the shipping industry to be more inclusive.
We can achieve regionally and advance globally. But first, we must consolidate our achievements and build momentum within our maritime sector in the Caribbean. This sector can be a powerful example of what we can achieve when we effectively utilize the skills, knowledge, and talent of both men and women.
The function also served as the launch of the Caribbean arm of the Women in Maritime Affairs WIMA through the Maritime Association of Jamaica.
The WIMA for the Caribbean will serve as an important vehicle to unite women in the sector as a force to promote change and facilitate development.
At another function, Senator Faulkner urged more state entities to implement sexual harassment and disability policies. According to the minister, these policies would create a work environment free of unwelcomed sexual advances and discrimination. Senator Faulkner added that government was already putting in the necessary policies and programs to eliminate such abuses.
The sexual harassment policy will facilitate transparency in the handling of all procedures relating to sexual harassment on the job.
Minister Faulkner was addressing the official launch of the Urban Development Corporation's sexual harassment and disability policies. And Natalie Nita Headley, the minister responsible for sport, launched the 2015 staging of the Jamaica International Invitational Track Meet on Tuesday.
I want to encourage all Jamaicans, come out. Let this stadium be sell out and sell off. Let's fill the stadium and ensure that we cheer on our athletes and participate in what we will now consider to be our little world championships right here in Jamaica.
Now in its 12th year, the Jamaica Invitational will be held on May 9 at the National Stadium. And that's it for this week's Jamaica House Weekly. Join us next time for the latest stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Family,
school,
church,
community.
All important agents of change in our society.
They influence what we think about ourselves, our surroundings, and how we see the roles of males and females.
Let's all work together for equality for all Jamaicans.
Let's make Jamaica a place where both males and females have equal access to a good education, good jobs, the best healthcare, and opportunities for the good of the country.
Males and females are different, but it doesn't mean they're not equal.
Let's build a Jamaica that doesn't discriminate. Become an agent of change.
Do you or someone you know have a young child with special needs? This next feature is for you.
How does it feel to be different from me? Are we the same? How does it feel?
Since 1975, the Early Stimulation Program has been providing assistance to thousands of children with developmental disabilities all across the island, transforming their lives from black and white into living glorious technicolor, providing therapeutic and educational services for children with special needs. To broaden that objective, in 2006, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security expanded the activities of the program to include a Stimulation Plus STIM Plus Early Childhood Development Center.
We see children with cerebral palsy. We see children with chromosomal disorders such as Down syndrome. We see children with intellectual impairment, learning disabilities. We see children with autism and a number of various conditions.
After its initial assessment, the center implements feasible programs for those children aged 3 to 6 years to help them overcome their challenges.
We have what we call a parent orientation, that we sit with you and we explain what is happening or what might be happening with your child, and look at a program how we are going to go about assisting this child developmentally. The case is discussed with the home intervention supervisor and other team members.
Counseling sessions and workshops are also organized for the parents and guardians who have a difficulty accepting and dealing with their child's disability. In addition, STIM Plus has daily therapeutic treatment for the children.
We have over 112 children. We have 8 classes, and the children are not necessarily in classes according to their age, but based on their capabilities or their mental age, they are placed into classes.
And so, from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. weekday, the disabled children receive one-on-one attention, specifically tailored to their need to help improve their condition. Just take a look at some of the activities for these children diagnosed with cerebral palsy. They vary from using a swing to teach balance so that the children will be able to sit and walk properly, to enjoying a ride on the peanut ball.
So she is on the ball and we move her back and forth to strengthen her upper body and get head control. Up, Alicia, up, up, bring your head up, Alicia, head up, very good, Alicia.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? It's rough, it's rough.
Others enjoy tactile stimulation techniques, which uses rough and soft material to stimulate and differentiate between the senses.
So we want to encourage Gabby to do hand-eye coordination stuff, so she'll be able to see the object and pick it up. So go, Gabby. We're also doing it in a sitting position to encourage Gabby to sit down, right? Pretty girl. Take up the block for Auntie. Put your hand around it. Woo! We got one! Nice girl!
There are also activities to help these children with special needs to develop their literacy and numeracy skills.
5 little ducks went swimming one day over the hill and far away. Mama duck said quack, 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 and only 4 little ducks came back.
We use the music to teach the children to count, to teach them to identify the numbers, use their fingers and to interact.
Parents who enrolled their children at STIM Plus, which is operated by the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, have seen first-hand improvements in their children with special needs. Melissa's daughter is diagnosed with autism, but things are looking up.
Lots of changes. First things first, I credit them with having my child walk and run and even swing on a swing song by herself. Things that I didn't know that she could do on her own, that she wasn't doing at home.
He's learning more to count, says ABC, as well as he comes, he's doing a little writing, but you find he's not holding the pencil as strong as you want him to, so he doesn't write as perfect as you're expecting him to. But he's trying to do a little more than what he was doing before, so you're seeing improvement.
Shantoy, say ABC for mommy. She was slow with the letters. Now she knows all her letters, she knows colors. She's able to speak her mind freely. Vast improvement.
When the children reach the age of 6 and have made, the progress, we do have a graduation for them that parents look forward to. Seeing these children who were so delayed, now going off.
Off to other special education programs or the formal school system, some getting a chance to even do their GSAT, complete high school and university.
These are some of the things that inspire us to go on to help the children. There are children who come here and they're not talking and they leave talking. things like that that inspire us and encourage us to go on.
So if you have a child or know of a child with special needs,
Just have faith and work with the child, just as STEM Plus would work with them, right? And help them. Don't leave the teacher alone to work with them. Don't rough them. Don't try to, make them feel like them is nobody.
My advice to them is, if you do have a child with disability, Stimulation Plus is the place for them to be.
for more information, contact the Early Stimulation Program, 95 Hanover Street, Kingston, or the Ministry of Labour and Social Security in your parish.
Measles, mumps, and rubella are potentially dangerous childhood diseases. Parents, ensure your children get the MMR vaccine to protect them. The first shot should be given when children are between 12 and 15 months old, and another before they start school. Women of childbearing age should also ensure they get the MMR vaccine, as they could transmit dangerous conditions to their children if infected while pregnant. To know more, visit your nearest clinic or health center or contact the Ministry of Health.
Sometimes even the greatest joys bring challenge, and the children with special needs inspire a very, very special love.
We've exhausted the time available for this Monday's edition of Jamaica Magazine. But if you're tech savvy, visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for more useful information, and follow us on Twitter at JIS News or on Facebook. You may also want to keep connected while on the go by downloading the JIS app. Also, feel free to share your thoughts. Send us an email to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching Jamaica Magazine. See you again tomorrow.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.